Houston. Multiple reports say he's going to the Rockets in a blockbuster deal for Chris Paul and 2 first-round picks. The move means Russ will be reunited with his former Thunder teammate, James Harden. ESPN reports Harden was the driving force behind getting Westbrook to Houston. So that may speak to their relationship and how it'll play out. Shannon, is this trade good or bad for the Rockets?
I don't like it, Skip, for the Rockets, because when I look at this, these two guys do not make sense playing together. Over the last 5 years, 1 and 2 in usage. Russ is 1, James Harden is 2. And remember, Skip, this is one of the things that drove he and Chris Paul apart. And Chris Paul is not nearly, he's ball dominant, but not nearly anything like Russ. And it just doesn't make sense to me. And we all talked about over the last month, Skip, the bad contract that Chris Paul had, 3 years, $120+ million. Well, you take on Russ, who has an even worse contract, 4 years at $171. Combined, Russ and James Harden average 1 shot per game off of cuts to the basket. 1. So in other words, when the guy does not have the ball in his hands, they're not doing anything. It's as simple as that. Russ is a horrible three-point shooter. What do the Rockets do more than anybody in the NBA, Skip? Jack up threes. So you get a guy that's terrible at jacking up threes. That's what he wants to do anyway. And you pair it with James Harden. Skip, I get it. They played together from, 2009 to 2012. But their lives changed. They're not the same guy anymore. They don't view themselves as those guys back then. James Harden is an MVP. He finished runner-up, I think, four times in the last 5 years. Russell is an MVP. 3 straight triple-doubles. And you put this together, Skip, I had them before they made this trade. I say they're probably 4th or 5th. I still have them in the same spot. I get, it's like, oh, my God, they got Russ, they got Russ, they got Russ. I just don't see how this worked. We question, Skip, how is Chris Paul and James Harden's going to do? James Harden is really high in usage, 1 or 2. Chris Paul is like 4 or 5. You combine that, how? And we see. And now you put 1 and 2 together, they're not the same guys. Their lives are not the same from 2009 to 2012.
I agree.
And you put this together, I just don't see how it's going to work. I get it. Houston, it seems to me, Skip, before I let you go, it just seems to me that Daryl Morey is just like, give me any superstar, and I'll put them together, we see how it works. He tried that with James. He tried that with Dwight Howard. He tried it with Carmelo.
He did.
And boom. So now he's going to try whatever he can to try to
get over with Chris Paul.
It doesn't make sense to me that you would get off 1 bad contract to take another bad contract with an extra year. I can tell you what's going to happen. I give it a year, maybe 2 at the max, and they're going to be shipping Russ out of there, trying to get some of those draft picks back that they gave OKC.
Okay, you done?
I'm done.
I do agree with you. This was not a good trade. This was an all-time great trade by Daryl Morey because he just righted his own wrong, and it was one of the wrongest wrongs in NBA history. For reasons I still can't explain, to your point, he gave Chris Paul just a year ago this albatross of an anvil of a contract that was hanging around Daryl Morey's neck and dragging this whole franchise down, because Chris Paul was about to make 38.5, and then the next year 41.4, and then the next year at his option $44.2 million, and he is a shell of himself, number one. And Daryl Morey couldn't see this coming, I guess, but he became the toxic enemy of one James Harden, who is the most valuable player in that franchise. Do not invite him. They could not live or work together at the end of the season. Could they
did work together.
Fixed it?
State Farm commercial.
State Farm. They had State Farm going, and I told you, I don't know how they got through the commercials. They must have had mediators on both sides, just calming both of them down, saying, remember, you're making $5 million or whatever it is, $10 million off this 1 hour of shooting, right?
Are they going to run any more of those commercials?
I don't know. Is Chris Paul is the State Farm agent going to continue to live with him in Oklahoma City or Miami?
Yeah, you got to go with him. Yeah.
Okay, he lives with him, right? It's great.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to get one of those guys. They just live with you. I need one of those guys. So not only did this, let's start with just the addition by subtraction. We kept saying There is no way Daryl Morey's going to get out from under this deal because nobody's going to take it. Somebody took it. It's over. Kaboom. It's gone. And did he have to part with anybody except Chris Paul? Is Clint Capella still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Eric Gordon still there?
Yep.
Is PJ Tucker
Yep.
still there? Yeah, he's there. Is Austin Rivers? I love Austin Rivers. Is he still there?
Yep.
Yeah. And Gerald Green and Daniel House, and they're all still there. Except for addition by subtraction. He's gone. Maybe he'll wind up via Oklahoma City to Miami. We don't know yet. But he's out the door, out of sight, out of mind. And you didn't harm your roster at all. So now we go back to, is Russell Westbrook better than Chris Paul right now? Well, let's just do it in a vacuum. Let's just do it on paper. He's 10 times better than Chris Paul is right here, right now, just in and of himself.
Especially with the ball in his hands.
Okay, but I'm saying just as a basketball player, both sides of the ball, because Russ defended at a high level last year. Last couple of years,
He ain't better than Chris Paul.
Okay, yes, he is. He is now.
None of the
Chris
defense.
Paul has lost his quickness. He looks a little heavy to me. He just looks like he is on the wrong side of 30.
Okay.
That's what he looks like to me. Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree, but you do
Okay.
know Russ is 32 now.
Okay, well, no, he's not. He's not 32, is he?
No, I said he's 30
Oh,
also.
32. I thought you said he's 32.
No, he's 30.
Oh, he's just now
30.
30. Okay, I got you. I got you. Okay. So, to me, Russell Westbrook still has 2 high-level, high-energy years left. Only 2, but that's 2 that you got him for. And if you're Daryl Morey and you say, I got to win now with this, and I've thrown everything I can throw at the wall and see if it'd stick before, I'm going to try this one, I'm going to try this guy, because you have to agree that Russell Westbrook and James Harden, for all their negatives, are both forces of offensive nature.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Both of them.
Yes.
Okay, now let's go to those 2 guys. By all accounts, by many reports, they wanted to reunite. They sought each other immediately after Oklahoma City was out of the playoffs, according to several outlets, including Brian Windhorst, and I think the Chronicle have reported. Russell was already on the phone talking to James. Is there any way we could figure out how to pair up? So they both had equal interest in reuniting. James wanted Russ, Russ wanted James. Why would they want each other? Because they know each other. And they did have the advantage, the immense benefit. It's not like they were just buddies who have never been teammates. They were teammates, to your point, for 3 years. They hung out. They practiced with and against each other. They were in the locker room. They were in the huddle. They were on the road. They were everywhere together. They know inside out who they were. I get you. You say their lives have changed. Their statuses have changed. But along the trail, each has won an MVP, right? And Russell has done his triple-doubles for 3 straight years. He's averaged. So he's done all that. But they wanted to get together because they do know that for 1 year, especially that last year together, when James Harden was the 6th man of the year, he averaged 17 points a game for that team. So he played a lot of basketball on the same floor with Russell Westbrook, who at that point averaged 24. So 24 to 17. So it worked a little bit. Can you give it just a little bit?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because they were paired up a lot. Okay? I know those teams because that team knocked my team out.
But Skip,
by the way, my team went up 2-0, and then those 2 just took it over.
The next 4.
Yes.
But Skip, you're talking about Russ wasn't the Russ that we know now with the high usage. And neither was James Harden. He was a bench player. He came off the bench.
Okay? Just remember, though, there's a connection. There's a soul connection because they're both, here we go again, Southern California. They're L.A. products, right?
Yes.
And they're just a year apart. It's a little more than a year. But the point is they knew each other, of each other growing up.
Right.
And then, obviously, one goes to Arizona State, one stays at UCLA. But still, there's a soul connection of Southern California, just like that guy number 2 and Paul George, right?
So being from Southern California is going to make one of these guys want to pass the ball to the other.
Okay. Here's the other point. They have each led the...
Houston. Multiple reports say he's going to the Rockets in a blockbuster deal for Chris Paul and 2 first-round picks. The move means Russ will be reunited with his former Thunder teammate, James Harden. ESPN reports Harden was the driving force behind getting Westbrook to Houston. So that may speak to their relationship and how it'll play out. Shannon, is this trade good or bad for the Rockets?
I don't like it, Skip, for the Rockets, because when I look at this,